cue for cocaine or porn, then their brain over-responds as opposed to someone that is not addicted.
I never considered myself addicted back in the day, but now I can clearly see that, yes, I was an addict. I was constantly craving porn. I was turning down real-life sexual opportunities, and I eventually got to the point where I was dependent on porn to function normally.
There are still academics out there who say there's no such thing as porn addiction. It's just people with high libidos doing their thing. Do you think that porn addiction has been proven beyond doubt?
To me, the proof has been there for several years. A study out of Germany, it showed that there
And last year, more supporting evidence. The Max Planck Institute in Germany identified 2 physical changes in the brains of internet porn users. First, a rewiring of the frontal lobe, the part of the brain that tells us to stop overindulging, our braking system.
It's essentially wearing out of the braking system. It's impeding the signal from the brake to the reward center. So the brake doesn't work as well.
So you're driving your car towards porn heaven and the brakes just aren't working.
You've worn out the brake pads.
The second and most stunning neurological discovery, that high-speed internet porn might actually shrink the brain.
This change in volume, the shrinkage in this reward area, was more pronounced the more hours per week the person watched pornography.
And that means less grey matter in the part of the brain associated with decision-making and motivation. It makes sense of Adam's symptoms.
Complete lack of motivation for anything in life.
Apart from porn?
Yeah, apart from porn.
There's a third aspect of this emerging science which is even more worrying from a social point of view. The more porn you watch, the more extreme your brain wants it to be.
Something that I would have been incredibly fascinated at age 12 was just having no response in my brain at that time, so I had to seek out a harder hit.
So he needs more. The same porn isn't going to do it. It's going to require a bigger kick.
It started out very softcore, you know, with me Googling body parts, right? And then it would escalate to, you know, a couple guys, one girl, or gangbangs. And then it kind of, you know, varied what I would watch. And I would search for things that were shocking or that created anxiety, like very abusive and misogynistic stuff.
But why would our brains do that to us?
Novelty. Our brains want to learn something new. We're always trying to learn something new. It's what we do. Our brains want to learn. And we need new. And new is aggression. New is younger.
I was here at the University of Auckland just on Wednesday, and we were talking about what are things that we can do as men to reduce violence against women.
Richie, DJ, drug and alcohol counsellor and reformed pornography user.
It's like a horrible Pandora's box.
He's sworn off the porn because of damage to himself and others.
You need leadership. You need people to be brave and to be honest. You need people, you know, John Kerwin comes out and talks about depression. Get some role models to come out and be like, yo, porn, you know, this is what we're watching en masse.
Research shows that the average age children first see online porn is 10. There's no stats on New Zealanders, but in Australia, the UK and the US, 8 out of 10 young men are watching internet porn and 3 out of 10 young women. It's far from a minority sport. So what's the answer? Do we take away the technology? Do we ban the websites? What do you do?
No, I'm not for banning, and I don't think we should take away technology. I think we need more education about the reward circuit in the brain, and I think you need more education, better sex education for kids that includes the brain science, because that's missing in education right now.
Something's certainly missing in New Zealand. When we tried to talk to schools about the science of porn addiction, and we tried more than 20, they all ran a mile, all except one. We're about to have one of the frankest conversations that's ever been had about internet porn inside a New Zealand classroom. Green Bay High in West Auckland.
Have you guys seen anything online that's made you feel uncomfortable? Yeah? Raise your hands. Yeah?
The reason we're here, up till now, schools have never broached the subject of porn in class, even though the government commissioned a paper this year suggesting they should start. So we've flown in Liz Walker, a sexuality educator from Australia, to get the ball rolling.
The reality is that all schools have an issue with porn, and they really need to say, you know what, this is widespread. We're going to take the bull by the horns and really do something to open up conversation around this. Can you write down everything that you can possibly think of when you think of the word porn?
For these seniors, it's the first time they've had a class exercise quite like this.
You can be totally edgy. That's nobody's going to get into trouble, all right? Male dominant.
And they're not stuck for ideas.
Threesomes count as orgies?
Yeah,
or is that something?
do they? No, it's group 6, so I guess.
I reckon it's just getting younger and younger, like watching it.
Okay, so shock me. What's some ones that I can write up that's, what do you think's bestiality?
There we go.
You could have led up to that one. Rape?
Like body image?
Impacting body image? Yeah, so they've got massive penises and breasts and...
Every single student in this room has been exposed to porn in some way.
Did anybody write down revenge porn?
Yeah.
So they're quite clued up about the cultural impact.
What's the biggest key in that?
It's like the breach of consent and...
Breach of consent, that's right.
Most people think porn addicts are shut-ins with no social lives, and they're using porn...
But then we played them Gabe's story, and that was entirely new territory. The idea that you could get addicted to porn, that it could affect your brain and ruin your sex life, certainly held their attention.
Because whenever you wipe yourself off with napkins, you're still sitting in a chair all by yourself with your pants around your ankles. I always tell guys on my forum that there's no amount of porn that can ever love you back.
Yeah, so no amount of porn that can ever love you back. What do you think of that video? Pretty real, isn't it?
I think like Gabe's the perfect example of how vital it is to like be educated when you're younger. Like he said in hindsight that he didn't think he was addicted, but maybe if he was more educated, like when he was younger, then.
This seminar has made me reflect on on porn habits, and I think that knowing that erectile dysfunction and other mental problems coming as a result can definitely affect somebody's intention to watch porn.
Especially what Gabe talked about is nobody really has that much of an idea about how big of a deal porn addiction is.
So actually talking about porn was far from the exercise and embarrassment that other schools might have feared.
I guess just really re-examining the way we manage sexuality education in schools, because porn's not going away, like you said, so we have to look at other means of rectifying the situation.
Do you think parents have any idea of what's available in a general sense?
There's so much just naivety about what kids and teenagers watch. It's like, I mean, they just don't think about it at all.
Maybe we found a way to start this conversation.
The seminar today was just brilliant. I loved it. And thank you. I love what you guys are doing. Continue it.
So these students welcome it. The experts and porn addicts say it's long overdue. Isn't it time teachers, principals and parents got over their own embarrassment and started talking about this naked elephant in our children's rooms?
So as a 12-year-old, would you have listened to an adult who tried to have a conversation with you about this?
I've thought about this question many times, and I think I would have. If you would have told me, little Gabe, if you watch porn, it can lead to negative effects, especially ruin your sex life, which as a 12-year-old was the one thing I cared about for my future, I think I would have listened. I for sure would have cut back a lot, but I think I would have stayed away.
Well, good on Green Bay High School for being brave enough to step up They are now going to set up regular lessons on pornography, and we really hope that other schools are going to follow their lead. Now, on our website are links to places that you can go if you think that you might have an addiction problem with porn. And there's also an extended interview with Gabe, who has advice for parents on how to start talking to their kids about this. And Gabe is also online now, all the way from Dallas, Texas. He's on our Facebook page, ready to answer any questions that you might have.